Hello students, welcome back to Florence Academy. What is eloquence? Eloquence is being fluent, elegant, persuasive and forceful to deliver a speech that amazes an audience. From time immemorial, we have admired eminent speakers across the globe. Most of the times we find that these powerful speakers are also powerful leaders. So, is this an inborn skill or is it something we can all practice and achieve? Let's ask and find out from Amaan Raja Sait, who got band 8 in his IELTS speaking test. I'm all ears. Hey Amaan,
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
my blue-eyed boy.
Thank you, ma'am. How are
So,
you, ma'am?
all good, all good. I welcome you on behalf of Florence Academy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So you've got an overall 7.5, band 7.5, and you've got 8 in speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Band 8
Thank.
in speaking is like a distant dream for many students. So
Yes, ma'am.
can you help us? Can you answer some FAQs for us, which students
Yes,
normally
ma'am.
ask?
Okay, sure, ma'am. I'll do that.
Okay, so the first and foremost is how to generate ideas in cue cards.
Okay. So, as most of us know, Q card is the part two of the IELTS speaking test. So, idea generation is the most important factor which the examiner looks upon. It is one of the most important things because it is very difficult for us to generate ideas, and bringing in content to our speech is very difficult. And initially, most of the students face this issue. Even I also face this issue a lot, wherein while speaking and while practicing and listening to my own speech, I was not able to generate ideas and to bring in more content. I was using the same words, repeating and repeatedly using it, just was not right. And I felt like I needed some or the other content so that I can complete that 2 minute speaking length for part two. So that is when I use different strategies, how I can build this skill and how I can generate ideas. So I bought in and I went to a lot of videos and strategies also. So from there, I got to know we can visualize ourselves in three tenses, that is past, present, and future. We can relate the idea to these three sentences and maybe create more questions. So as we know that speaking to has two or three maximum sub questions which we need to deliver, and apart from that, we can create more questions ourselves by bringing in this past, present, and future ideas. For example, if a topic is about traveling, we can say the past study, like how we got to know about this particular place and what are all the attractions in that place. And then presently, when are we planning to go there, or what are the things we are doing now? And future is after we go there, what are the things we are expecting to see, and other details. So all these things come in together, which help us to generate more idea and to complete that 2 minute barrier. That
Wow,
is what I feel, ma'am. I did.
that looks really doable, right? Visualizing one in
Yeah.
past, present, and future looks quite doable. I think many students can do that to
Yes,
generate
and
it.
another strategy also is there, wherein we can use W questions. In English, we have what, where, whom, why. So all these questions give us more time to think, and we can create more questions accordingly. So in a paper, as soon as we are provided with a sheet of paper. So in that, we can write all these separate questions, and we can frame questions according to the topic which is given to us, and then this will help us dramatically when it comes to generating ideas.
No, I'm sure students can take your tip and start practicing right away. Okay, the second
Yes, ma'am.
most frequently asked question is how many sentences should I answer in part one and part three uh, questions?
So this is a question which I also I used to think a lot about this before giving my exam, because I was not sure what is the ideal time for giving the answer, and what are the amount of sentences which I can use. So it differs from part one and part three. Part one is basically your general questions, which the examiner expects us to give about 2 to 3 sentences, or maybe sometimes 3 to 4 sentences. We can complete within that time. And for part three, it is a more detailed part wherein we are expected to give answers greater than 5 or 6 sentences, so that we cover the entire bandwidth of that particular part. And part three, as we all know, is related to part two. So most of the questions will be asked in a very general point of view in part three, which is directly related to part two. So wherein it gets a bit difficult for us students to generate ideas again in part three. But yes, we can answer. The questions are not that generalized. They are questions which most of us can answer in a very general point of view, I feel that.
So in part 3, should we give examples from personal life?
Um, we can actually give examples from personal life if the question asks for our opinion, and if the question asks for any particular examples you can give for, or you have experienced that particular thing in your life, you can very well say that in part three.
Okay, another very common question is, what if I stop talking before 2 minutes in the cue card round? Will my band score be less?
Okay. Okay. It's not like that. Band score is mainly defined by the other criteria such as cohesion, coherence, vocabulary, using good lexical resource and other stuffs. Whereas speaking length, the examiner just wants you to speak until he or she interrupts you during your speaking, which is when the time is over. So before that, if you stop, it won't matter very much unless and until you deliver your speech to the fullest, and you add in all the contents which were needed in relevance to the topic. That I feel is very much important, rather than going with the entire time frame of that part two. And other thing I would like to say is keeping in mind to at least speak for more than 1 minute is very much needed and is very ideal for part two. At least while practicing yourself, in front of a mirror, which I practiced usually, I recorded my own speech, and during that time, after practicing for about 10 to 20 speaking evaluations, I got to know that what exactly 2 minutes are. If not 2 minutes, I got to know, okay, so the 2 minutes are over, and you need to keep that sense of thing within you when the 2 minutes are getting over, so that it is very easier for you during your exam. So if not this, that, but it's completely fine if the examiner interrupts us if our 2 minutes are over.
Okay, another reverse situation students ask us, can we keep speaking after 2 minutes? What if we have not covered all the questions? So should we take more than 2 minutes to cover?
No, it is absolutely not possible to speak after 2 minutes. Examiner has a stop clock, a clock with them, which tells them when the 2 minutes are getting over. So many examiner even stop us 15 seconds prior to the 2 minutes, or even give us 5 or 10 seconds extra. So that completely depends upon the examiner. We have nothing in our hands to deal with that. The only thing which we can do is deliver the speech in a beautiful manner and relevance to the topic. And I feel this won't affect our band score by any way if at all the examiner is interrupting us during our speech. It is just that they need us to speak for the entire time frame. That is what matters the most.
Thank you so much. It was so well answered, well covered. Another frequent question that I get is, do we get a low band score if we don't cover all the prompts or the questions in the cue card?
Okay. As I previously said, it is not very important to cover all the subparts of the part two. In fact, you can even add your own sentences, your own questions, and try to answer those questions if you want to increase your content in the speech. And apart from that, it is not, I don't feel it is very important for you to cover all the topics, but it is always better if you can cover all the topics within that time frame. So that will always be helpful.
Okay, another one is, what is the role of idioms in the whole speaking exam?
Okay. So initially, I was not very good with idiomatic speech and how to develop these expressions. And the very important thing in idioms is it should come naturally. And not only the idioms, but connectors and other things which are very important in IELTS speaking test. Everything should come naturally. It should not look like you are making it in the sentence to increase your band score. So it should not look like that. So the very important thing is your natural way of speaking and the fluency during your speech. And idioms, yes, I believe and I know that they require a lot of hard work to start with. You can initially take 10 to 20 idioms, and taking idioms and choosing them is very important. You have to choose accordingly. As such, they can be used in every situation of your speech. So choose idioms which are which can be used everywhere, whatever the situation may be, and maybe very basic idioms to start with. Just try working on them, and every day take one or two idioms and revise them, know their meanings, and use them in your speech during your practice. So that will help you a lot. And idioms, yes, are very important if you are looking to increase your band score, and if you wanted to get a very good band score like 8, 8.5, even 9 band score, idioms can help you very a lot. And yes, I also did the same. Initially, I was not very fluent in idioms. I was just speaking very normal English. But then, when I got a hold of idioms, like I used a lot of wide idioms and very basic ones in my speech. Also, during my exam, I used about 5 to 6 idioms as far as I remember. And yes, it actually helped me a lot in getting my desired band.
Wow, that was crystal clear, Aman. Okay. Next one is what if we cannot remember any high Lexis vocabulary?
Hmm. Vocabulary is not very important in speech, I feel. You can use very basic vocabulary, the words which you know. And I would always advise students to not go with vocabulary which they are not comfortable with or which they don't know the meaning of. It is very important, and the examiner notes all these very basic, all these, minute details a lot during your speech. So using good vocabulary, and yes, it should be standardized vocabulary. At least the examiner expects us to give really good vocabulary and use a very good lexical resource in our speech. So going with basic vocabulary is fine sometimes, but if you want to improve your vocabulary skills and your lexical resource, I would suggest you to again select few words which can be used in all situations and sentences, and try to use them accordingly. So I can give an example. So before my IELTS exam, I came with this new word which is bandinage. So I actually did not know this meaning of the word bandinage. So it is just a witty conversation, and I actually got to use this word during my exam, wherein I was asked a topic, what is the unusual food which I would like to state. So that is when I used bandinage, where I had a witty conversation with my friends when we visited that place. So it helped me a lot, and it actually increased my band score, I feel. So yes, you can use very basic vocabulary. It's not a huge issue.
Yes, it's about paraphrasing, it's about understanding the word in the context. And some students tell me that they cannot remember the content when they try to use high Lexis vocabulary, which they haven't used before. So that is a very dangerous situation to be in if you cannot say anything just because you're trying to use some word. So that is that.
Answering the question is more important rather than going with all the high vocabulary and increasing your. So that should not be the case. If you are very comfortable with using such vocabulary, if you know the meaning of the word, then go with it, no problem. But if you don't know, then I would always suggest you can go with basic vocabs and not stress a lot on high vocabulary content as a whole.
So, how was your whole journey, the IELTS journey?
It was quite great, ma'am. I had you trained me a lot. We had a lot of speaking evaluations, wherein all these full length evaluations were given, and you corrected my speech. Initially, like how I was, and what were the mistakes I was making. Although they were not quite huge mistakes, but yes, when it comes to fluency and pronunciation, all these basic details were just lacking in my speech. So I tried to build them, and after I built them, I went into more advanced stuff like going into idioms and using high vocabulary thing. So this many other students can also opt for. But yes, ma'am, when it comes to my journey of IELTS, I feel it has been really great. I seriously did not expected that I will get 8 band in speaking. That is solely because you trained me so, and other contents in social media and other things. I used to listen to a lot of audios, even from Spotify and from other journals, and there are other websites, English ABCs and other websites. So these all helped me a lot in getting my desired band.
So thank you so much, Aman, for having us.
Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am. Thank.
Thank you so much for being here and answering all the FAQs for us. And as you go
Yes,
to your
ma'am.
dream country, Germany, I want to wish you all the best. And as in German, they say
Uh,
Gute Reis. Is that Gute Reis? Is that right? You're learning German as well, right?
yeah, it's Gute Reise. It is safe travel, safe journey. So yes, ma'am. Danke schön for that.
Yeah. So do be in touch even after you reach Germany. Okay.
Yes,
All the
ma'am.
best.
Yes, ma'am.
All the
Sure,
best.
sure.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. And I hope the students take these tips seriously and start working on them.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Florence Academy, and you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.